Today we are learning how to find the volume of prisms and cylinders. Now, the volume is all the stuff inside. Like if you're drinking a, I don't know, whatever you call it. I call it pop, but lots of people call it soda or something like that. If you're drinking one of them, the soda is the volume. How much soda can the can hold? Okay, so the number of cubic units needed to fill a given space. So we're going to find the volume of each figure. So for example 1, they give you the formula V equals base times height, which really can translate into volume equals length times width times height, because that's a capital B. Because that's a capital B, it's talking about the area of the base times the height of the prism. And to find the area of the base, we do length times width. So, the bases are rectangles. So we know the area of each rectangular base is going to be 12 times 4. And we're going to get 48. Okay? All we did was did length times width. Now we're going to take 48 and we're going to multiply by the height of 4. And 48 times 4 is 192. So the volume to the nearest tenth, well, it already is rounded, is 192. An easier way to look at this, if you're like, well, I don't know which one's my length, width, and height, there are 3 letters you have to substitute for. There are 3 numbers that you need to put in for those variables. Multiplication can be done in any order. So honestly, with the volume of a cube like this, does not matter which way you substitute your numbers, because you're just multiplying the 3 numbers together, and that can be done in any order. Example number 2. A can of tuna is shaped like a cylinder. Find its volume to the nearest tenth. Use 3.14 for pi. Here is the formula. Pi r squared, that gives you the area of the base, times the height of the can of tuna. So the radius of the cylinder is 5 centimeters, and the height is 4.2. Now that's a little bit easier to see what the radius and the height are compared to a figure that has multiple numbers that you don't know if you need to use all of them for. So we are going to be doing 3.14 times the radius squared. The radius we said was 5, so we're going to substitute the 5 for the radius times 4.2, which is the height. Then we need to do 3.14 times 5 squared, which is 5 times 5, which is 25, times 4.2. And we multiplied those 3 numbers, and when we multiply those 3 numbers, we get 329.7 centimeters cubed. So area of a 2-dimensional object just had a little 2. The volume of a 3-dimensional object has a little 3 there when you label it. Oh man, this one looks intense. Okay, we have a composite figure, which means we have 2 figures that make up one. So again, we need to find the volume of both and then add them together. And it tells us we have a rectangular prism and we have a triangular prism. So remember, in order to find the volume of a rectangular prism, we do length times width times height. These 3 numbers are the 3 numbers with our rectangular prism. Remember, we can put those in any order because multiplication is any order. And we just have to multiply them and we get 288. Okay? Now we have to find the volume of the triangular prism, which again is the area of the base, that's why there's a capital B, times the height. Now remember, a triangular prism has triangle bases, and to find the area of a triangle, we do base times height over 2. So 4B, that was a bad circle. 4B, we are using base times height over 2. So when we put these in there, we are going to take the base and height of the triangle. This is the triangle, so the 6 and the 4, and we are going to divide it by 2. Okay? Times the height of the triangle, which is also 6. Now, I kind of jumped ahead on you, and the base doesn't actually have a number on it, right? But it fills up from this side of the rectangle to this side of the rectangle, correct? And because it fills up from one side to the other side, we can say that the base of that triangle is how wide the rectangle is, which was 6. So 6 times 4 is 24, divided by 2 is 12, and then we multiply that by 6 and get 72. Okay? So the volume of the triangular prism was 72. The volume of the rectangular prism was 288. So in order to find the total volume, we have to add those together. So 288 plus 72, that's a plus sign. And when we do that, we get 360. So the volume of the composite figure is 360 feet cubed, because remember, it's the volume, so we have to cube it. So you have two check it out problems. They're not composite figures, so you need to follow the formula. V equals LWH and V equals pi r squared h, and you should be able to get the right answer, especially if you use a calculator.